Today on the Nerdy Gritty, recently a Missouri senator introduced legislation that would ban loot boxes from games marketed to children. Is this the right way to approach loot boxes?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I'm Fox,
I'm Dez.
and you have problems.
I have a
sir.
lot of problems, yes.
You are falling apart.
So, I really should put a video online about this on our page, but I injured myself pretty severely, actually. My back, I'm probably going to need surgery again, and it hurts real bad.
Yeah, so stop.
And I know, I wish I could.
You've got problems.
That's why I haven't been able to record for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually gonna be recording some Witness today, but I've been planning on playing Bloodborne for a while.
Yep.
It's installed, it's ready to go,
Mm-hmm.
and I hurt myself, and I just haven't been able to. Anyway, it sucks and it's stupid, and I'm injured and I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah,
that's a great intro. Good thing.
Yeah,
to
that's
talk
what. No, okay. Here's the real cool intro. Okay, imagine this.
The cool one.
Yeah, the cool one. Imagine this. It's 1990 whatever, or maybe even 80.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Uh-huh.
Flock of seagulls. Cold War.
Cold
okay,
War?
I'm there. Yeah.
You
said 1990s or maybe 80s, so I went with.
Was the Cold War still going on? That was more like, I guess.
Cold War really ended with the fall of the Berlin Wall.
That was 80.
That was 91.
Was it 91?
I believe so. Yeah.
I thought it was 87.
Whatever.
Look, I don't know.
This isn't a history podcast.
Yeah, it is now.
This is the Nerdy Griffey, a baseball podcast.
The Nerdy Griffey. I'd forgotten about that. You got your Game Boy out.
I do.
And you're there playing, and then all of a sudden it tells you, hey, now crank this thing.
Oh.
And crank it.
Mom! Mom, I have a problem. I don't think my Game Boy should be telling me this.
So the software maker Panic, they're the guys who made Firewatch.
Yeah, I surely would panic.
They're the guys who made Firewatch.
They made... Wait, really?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
They have decided to make a handheld console. So
did they I'm confused. Campo Santos made Firewatch.
Campo Santos is the guy who's in charge of Panic.
That's not a... Oh, okay, so the same... Campo Santos is a company. So you're saying that the guy in charge of it is also in charge of Panic?
It says right here, having already released their Firewatch game, which was a major hit, the folks over at software maker Panic are now making an unexpected move.
Okay, sure.
There you go.
I just happened to be looking at Campo Santos' website the other day. They're making a new game called In the Valley of Gods, which I'm excited for.
Nice.
Anyway,
they're coming out with a new handheld system called Playdate. It's a little square. It's got a black and white screen, but it's an LCD screen, so it's a real fancy one.
Mm-hmm.
A button, B button,
sure,
D-pad,
sure,
and a crank on the side of the system.
A crank.
And from what it looks like in the article, the whole idea of it is that in the game there will be things to crank, or to turn, or to charge up, or whatever it is. The crank itself is another input.
Okay, how large is this? Paint me a mental picture.
It's a square. It's about yay big.
Okay, a mental picture, not you're holding your fingers up. So that looks about 3 inches by 3 inches?
Oh, yeah. So
okay.
It looks about 3 by 3 inches, maybe 4 by 4 inches.
Okay.
The crank itself is just barely, maybe half an inch on the side of width, and then it doesn't show, but I'd guess it has a little knob that you can like pull out.
Okay, because I was imagining like one of those penny squishing machines, like the big
just
mechanical.
a massive crank on it.
Yeah, but no, that's not
it's
it.
A little teeny tiny thing.
Okay,
and I'm guessing that you just can fold it out or whatever, or just get ready and just spin.
Interesting.
Real small. Well, Fox, what have you been up to?
A few things. It's been a while since we've done anything.
Been a minute.
As far as like recording any kind of gameplay or podcast. Watched a few movies. I probably should have just a list, but I
made a list.
For the first time. I watched the movie Hail Caesar, which is a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Came out 2006.
That's George Clooney, right?
George Clooney. Well, yes, it's a very vignette type movie. It heavily reminded me of like a Tarantino type movie, where you have separate stories kind of going and they're all connecting. But well, Tarantino doesn't necessarily connect, but that they're all kind of interlocked a little bit. So Clooney is a major character. He's probably in it 20% of the movie, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Same with lots of other characters. Scarlett Johansson is a huge she was Jonah Hill was billed on the posters and everything. He's in it for 3 minutes. So it's that kind of thing. But they have their characters and they have this really the big main character is an actual person from history, Eddie Mannix, who was kind of like a studio head producer at a studio. Basically the fixer. Our actor is drunk. We need to go get him because he needs to be on set. And so it's about him just kind of doing his day-to-day thing. And George Clooney gets kidnapped by communists, and it's a great movie. It's a great concept. It's a great plot. It feels like a great Coen Brothers movie that was kind of rushed for some reason.
I have been on bed rest.
Yes.
For a little more than a week now.
Right.
And most of my books that I read are now, I'm clearing out my garage to make room to put an office back there for me. And so a lot of the junk we cleared out ended up in front of my bookshelf. So haven't had a chance to read too many books. I've watched 33 movies.
What?
In the past few days.
It sounds like the life.
Ready?
Okay, yeah. Just name them all and then pick a couple.
Book of Eli, Equalizer 2, Venom, Jonah Hex, Lone Ranger, Ready Player One, Tron Legacy, Death Wish, John Carter, Snowpiercer, Kung Fu Hustle, Song of the Sea, Quest for Camelot, Tale of Despero, Dark Crystal, Babylon AD, The Frighteners, Snatch, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Despicable Me 1, Despicable Me 2, Despicable Me 3.
You went with the trilogy, huh?
Green Hornet, Wreck-It Ralph, Jupiter Ascending, Lego Ninjago, Rampage, Predators, with an S, Predators.
Yes.
Priest, Starship Troopers,
Ooh.
Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, Horton Hears a Who, and 28 Weeks Later.
Okay.
I saw
most of those not great in my opinion.
I saw some very good movies. I saw some
and
really
a lot of trash.
Bad movies. And I saw some surprising stuff in here.
I happened to watch Snowpiercer as well this week.
That's a good movie.
That was
I'd never seen it before.
So good.
Yeah.
Shockingly good.
For the
really concept and for just being some movie you never heard of that you just found on Netflix.
Exactly that. Yeah. It's some movie that I'd never heard of, and then I'm like, hey, wait, this is Christopher Evans.
Chris Evans, yeah.
And he hasn't done much since being Captain America.
This is before Captain America. This is old.
Was it really?
Maybe not before Captain America, but it's 10 years old at least. It's an older movie, yeah.
So anyway, I saw it, and I'm like, last I know of him before that, he was in Cellular. And Fantastic Four, and
there's a definite Captain America is the turning point. Well, it's probably true for a lot of actors in the MCU, but Dave Bautista, he wasn't an actor before that.
Exactly.
But there's a definite line between the quality of film that he was in, that Chris Evans was in before and after Captain America.
And so I watched Snowpiercer, and that's a good movie.
It's so good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Venom was really bad. Okay, no, stop.
I haven't seen it, but
worse than I expected.
Yeah.
It was really bad, man. I'm talking 2002. What is going on here?
Like the other movie with Venom, Spider-Man 3.
Yes. I like Spider-Man 3 better. It's a better movie.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it was shockingly bad.
I haven't seen. I would like to watch it, but that's the consensus I've seen. It's that it's just garbage.
Jonah Hex,
early Josh Brolin,
Megan Fox, John Malkovich, Will Arnett, Michael Fassbender, Lance Reddick. It's got a good cast.
Got a good cast. Not a good movie.
Disagree.
Really?
It was a good movie.
I thought it was
fun. It was what I mean. If you go into it, I expected it to be about as good as Venom, and it was fun.
Oh, okay.
It was way fun.
Sure.
And that was it. I watched a lot of movies that, as long as I didn't expect them to be Snowpiercer,
which you expected to be maybe something.
Yeah. As long as I didn't expect them to be great movies.
Yeah.
They were a lot of fun. Another one was.
Can we stop and say that's not a compliment for a movie?
What?
If you don't expect it to be good, then it's good.
Yeah.
That's not a compliment.
That's not a compliment, but what I'm saying is, to me, I'm glad I watched Jonah Hex, and I'd probably watch it again, even
All
at some
right.
point. Yeah,
Okay.
it was fun. It was.
Sure.
Predators.
That was the Adrian Brody one.
Adrian Brody one.
Yep.
Wonderful bad movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure.
I mean, I predicted at least a dozen lines of next text. Like,
Yeah.
how did you know that? Because it's what I would have done.
Yep.
You know, things like that. But in all the best ways.
Yeah.
I'd never watch it again on my own, but I'd love to watch that with a group of people.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, but
They
hilarious.
keep trying to make new Predator movies, and they have yet to succeed since Predator 2. So
Aliens versus Predator Requiem. Awful.
Alien versus Predator was
Awful.
like barely okay. And
I
the sequel is just absolute trash.
It was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
I don't know why there are humans in these movies. The humans do nothing and serve no purpose and are nothing but just getting in the way of what's kind of cool. But the reason I wanted to bring this one up is because they pose something that if there's an alien predator hybrid that comes out, like so a face hugger implants an alien.
Yeah, that happens in Aliens vs Predator, or
right?
Alien vs Predator.
And then at the beginning of this one, it comes out.
Yes.
And it's a hybrid. Does that mean that every alien we've known up till now is a human alien hybrid?
Well, okay, so that's kind of explained
in the first one.
No, in Prometheus.
Okay.
Prometheus is like a prequel to the Alien series, and it's super confusing and kind of dumb in a lot of ways. But it does have the origins of like what is assumed to be the first time this creature. Yes, basically that's the idea. Is that the alien is the perfect machine because it continually can adapt to whatever killed it if it has the opportunity. Like it can and so yeah, that's basically the idea. Is that they are human.
Oh, okay.
It's confusing and doesn't make any sense. But yes, that.
But those ones are specifically the human
apparently
ones.
In the original, if Prometheus is to be believed, then in the original Alien, that is a human version of
the Prometheus alien.
The Prometheus alien.
All right.
Which is basically assumed because that alien monster was supposed to have come off of a crashed ship in the original Alien. They get waken up from their deep sleep because they get a distress signal from a crashed human ship on this planet or an asteroid or whatever, and then they encounter this alien creature.
Anyway, anything else for you? I have one more thing, but I'm going to pass it back to you.
I finished Rage 2.
Okay, you started with I finished, and Sekiro was not.
Nope, I haven't. I still have to beat Ishin Sword Saint. Rage 2, incredibly short.
Okay.
Here's the plot. You are you're Walker at the beginning of the game. You live in this place, and there's the bad guys called the Authority. The Authority attacks your place. You become the last Ranger of which is what you like. Their basic.
The Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger. Johnny Depp shows up. No,
you're like, why are you here?
You become the last Ranger, which is essentially a superhero. You have this suit which gives you powers, and you can do things. After she dies, conveniently, there was your mom, basically. Conveniently, she had recorded a message saying, "If I die, here's what you have to do," telling you Project Dagger. Go find these 3 people, and they will be able to set you up with Project Dagger and give you the tools to defeat the Authority. Then, so then you leave. You go meet those 3 characters. You do 1 or 2 missions for each one. Then you go beat the bad guy. It was just shockingly short. There was nothing to the story. The story was go meet these 3 people. They'll give you the MacGuffins to beat the bad guy.
I have been wanting to, because I have been doing the daily for Slay the Spire for a while now.
Okay.
And I obviously have been on bed rest, and so have not been able to get on my computer to do the daily for Slay the Spire.
Okay.
So finally, I looked on the App Store, and I just typed in Slay the Spire. and the top game was Pirates Outlaws.
All
And it's
right.
essentially pirate themed Slay the Spire. And I've been playing the crap out of that on
Wow.
my phone.
All right.
Yeah, it's not as good,
Well, sure.
and it has one mechanic in it that's you've never played this Slay the Spire, right?
No, no.
No, okay. So you like in Slay the Spire, you're just going up a level each time, and you're like you're
Yeah.
literally climbing a spire.
Uh huh.
In this, you're sailing across the seas. What this one has, it's just one mechanic that's just useless and pointless. But you start with 100 AP action points, and each level you take costs money or costs AP to
Yeah.
go to the next place. And it'd be as if you're playing the original Super Mario Brothers, but every time you go to the next world, you have another metric called AP, and just for going to the next world,
Oh yeah, no.
you get points taken
That's
down
called
for it.
mobile gaming.
And
It's to get you to spend money on more action
I
points.
can't. That's not a thing. You can buy packs for more gold and for things like that, but I can't spend money on AP.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no way to like.
Once I am in game and playing the game, there are 0 microtransactions.
Well, it would redirect you to the Google Play Store probably.
Nope.
That's what?
Out of the game, when I'm just in the main menu,
Yeah.
I can buy new heroes. I can buy like new cards, new things like that. But once I've started
But
playing
you
the
can't
game,
buy AP.
no,
Can you get some kind of subscription that takes that away?
no. Now there are points in the game in which I can refill my AP.
Sure.
But I'm literally charged just for progressing in the game.
Now, okay. Well, in that case, then it just sounds like to me the game company wants you to stop playing at a certain point because don't play too many video games. Like it's like a nice thing that they're doing. Because if there's no way to buy AP, then what? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Completely pointless metric. All right, let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
All right.
But first,
we want to take just a quick minute here to talk about our Patreon and just some of the benefits you could gain if you became a patron. We have 3 different tiers of patronage on there. Just $1, $5, $10. At $1, you get access to exclusive videos. You get access to our what's it called? What's the thing? The Discord that we have that is pretty quiet right now because, so get on there, talk with us directly. We'd love to hear your input on videos and all that kind of stuff. At our $5 and $10 tier, though, we have some major bonuses, things like the director's cut of each episode of the Nerdy Gritty that we put out.
Yep.
It's basically an extended version, which our conversation before the jump, before we get into our main topic, we'll cut it down. We'll make it a little more palatable, a little shorter for most people. But if you are a $5 or $10 patron, then you get the whole talk where we'll talk about the millions of movies that Dez has watched or what he
33.
thinks. 33 millions of movies. Yeah, you'll get the whole conversation. We'll talk and talk and talk because that's what we do. Because this is our lives. These are our lives, and they're sad. So join us to. Yeah, and there's other benefits as well. You can get input on what games that we play together, things like that. There's a whole lot on there. So go ahead, and if you're able to, we love your support in any way, even if it's just watching or listening to our podcast or sharing it is great. But if you're able to, and if you're inclined, we would love to have you become a patron. It enables us to do even more for the channel, which gives you more to watch and more to listen to. It's a really great cycle that we go through.
So please be an enabler to us.
Yeah, be in it. We need that. Hey, y'all got any more of them Patreon dollars? Yeah, we've got lots of stuff coming up, so we'd love to get you on there. And as always, we really appreciate you either way for listening to the Nerdy Gritty and
if
watching.
you're hearing this right now, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let's get down to the Nerdy Gritty.
So in the past few years, loot boxes have become kind of an issue. And a lot of the ways that they have been used and utilized and the type of content they have, it has become this issue and this thought process of, is this gambling? Is this not gambling? A lot of gamers have kind of risen in anger against them.
Yes.
Because of this, just recently, a Missouri senator has actually introduced legislation that would ban loot boxes from games that are advertised to kids.
Yeah. So let's hear at the start. If you don't know, a loot box is generally, because they have different. Yep. General Lee, the Civil War guy. No, it's a.
He's a general.
He's
That's
a,
why.
yes, a loot box is generally a randomized item that you get, which gives you other. I mean, it's different for a lot of different games, but essentially, people consider it gambling because you don't necessarily know what you're going to get out of it, or whether it's going to be worth the actual current human dollars that you're
Right.
putting into it. These cost actual money and not in-game currency in most games, or at least at a certain level. So Senator, Josh Hawley of Missouri.
Y'all know Josh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Hawley, we're good friends. Just kidding.
Mr. Hawley, if you're nasty.
Yep, that's. I lived in Missouri for 6 or 7 years. But yeah, so he has introduced legislation, which that's where it is right now. Basically, is introduction. Like it is nowhere near the point. I'm looking at an article that was on Thursday, that updated Thursday, and it's nowhere near going through. There's
Right.
a lot of
He has
committees that has.
proposed
This is a proposal.
legislation.
But it's something interesting to talk about because, like you said, this has been controversial for a while now. How do we deal with companies putting out loot boxes? So let me give you a few details on what this legislation actually says, because now
Give me them deets, yo.
we can read it.
What's the 411?
Yep, that's what they say.
Still
So the
today.
text of Hawley's bill was released today. It defines a pay-to-win microtransaction
Microtransaction.
as one that, with respect to an interactive digital entertainment product that, from the perspective of a reasonable user of the product, is a game offering a scoring system, a set of goals to achieve, a set of rewards, or a sense of interactive progression through the product's content, including but not limited to narrative progression. It eases, here's the important part. Yeah, this is a lot of political text.
Right.
Here's the important part. This is what they would be banning. Something that eases a user's progression through content otherwise available within the game without the purchase of such transaction. Or it assists a user in accomplishing an achievement, or it assists a user in receiving an award associated with the game. There's more, but that's essentially like the general
Right.
legalese that it uses.
It's a pay to progress or pay to win type thing.
Makes the game easier to do something that you still could do without the payment.
Right.
Which is a lot of games nowadays.
Yes,
That's a fairly
a lot
standard
of
thing
games.
where you can gain weapons or experience or whatever by paying for it. And that's a scourge. Now, let's also be specific here. This would not include higher difficulty modes, cosmetic items, or add-on content. So it's not going to blanket DLC. It's just things that are pay to win. The affected microtransactions, along with loot boxes, would be barred for minor-oriented games. Which games would those be? I'm reading straight from
That's my curious.
It's a
That's
Kotaku
my
article.
question.
Which games would
what
those
are
be?
minors-oriented games.
The bill does not refer to game ratings like the ESRB uses.
Okay.
It instead defines the targeted games as those, quote, for which the target audience is individuals under the age of 18.
How do you gauge that though?
Yes, the breadth of this is an update. The breadth of Hawley's bill has triggered criticism by readers and members of the games industry because it doesn't just attempt to regulate games made for kids, but those in which the publishers, and this is hugely important, have, quote, constructive knowledge that any users are under 18. That constructive knowledge term means that the publishers would have a belief, without even having to confirm, that children play the game.
Ugh.
So this is just basically saying this would target games in which the developers of the game believe that people under 18 would play it. Which is, to my opinion, all games.
Yes, that is
All
that is
video
a
games.
game.
Yes, because the ESRB ratings are not, I mean, they're enforced, I suppose, but when's the last time that you heard all these 16 and 15 and 14-year-olds not being able to play Call of Duty or Red Dead Redemption 2 because they're not 18?
I remember I worked at
Well, 17.
GameStop for 2.5 years, and I would say that 1 out of 10 would have a kid come up and be like, "Hey, where are your T games? My mom doesn't let me play M games." Or like a kid would bring up a game and I'd be like, "Hey, I need your parent permission." And the parent would be like, "Oh, I didn't realize that was M. Thank you." 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10. That's more than I would expect.
9 out of 10. It was like, why are you asking me
Just-
questions? Just buy the game.
Just
Let
buy,
me the
yeah,
game.
just
Whatever.
here's the money.
It's fine. Yeah. Or the mom would come in and be like, "Hi, my 10-year-old really wants Grand Theft Auto. Do you have that?" Yeah, yes. Just so you know, though. "Oh yeah, I know. It's fine. It's fine." And yeah,
Little
like,
Timmy's fine.
So to me, this one, I have a lot of thoughts on this,
Yeah.
and because it's the problem that happens with a lot of legislation that comes in when you're uneducated on the thing itself.
Yes.
And that is, you hear about something, it's kind of fear-mongered a little bit.
A little bit.
I'm guessing somebody came to him and told him about all those horrific loot boxes that
They're
all
ripping
the
off
kids
the youngins.
yeah, the kids are stealing their parents' credit cards and buying drugs and loot boxes.
Yeah, and loot boxes of drugs.
Right.
Your local drug dealer is now offering
A
a loot
loot
box where you may or may not get drugs inside of it.
He's just got these like wrapped up paper bags and each one with question marks on them.
That sounds pretty cool.
I'll
What
say
else
this,
could be in here?
when there are card shops that have grab bags of magic cards and they're like $1 per pack and you're guaranteed
those have gotten me.
right? But that's exactly what loot boxes are. It's the same
well,
type
I
of
mean,
thing.
it's essentially a booster pack too. Like,
Yes, but so I would never do it until it says one has, a coupon for a fat pack in it.
yep.
I'll take them all, please.
I'll give me immediately calculating the cost to a fat pack to how many to your. Yep. Oh, if I buy 39 of these, then there's a good chance I'll get one and still pay less than a fat pack, huh?
That's right, yeah. But then if
And
you
behind
don't
the
get
counter,
it,
the
you're
guy is just like, excellent. He's Mr. Burns now.
yes, excellent.
Excellent.
Anyway, we got way
Yep.
target there. Oh, I miss those.
Yep.
Anyway, so I'm guessing somebody came in and told him about those dangerous loot boxes, and he came out, number one, wanting to be the cool senator that's introducing legislation about loot boxes.
Somebody's got to be cool in Missouri. Maybe why
Right.
not him?
So, but then second of all, going to an extreme and saying no games that are played by kids can be
Yeah.
allowed loot boxes.
Yeah.
When on the other side, gamers are like, "Dag son, that's stupid. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't say no games that are played by kids."
It's broad.
It's incredibly broad. But I honestly think his heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
And I will say that he has a surprisingly good I'm not going to say definition, but I think a surprisingly good description of what dishonest loot box would be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got to think about the political process. This isn't this guy alone sitting in a room typing up all this legalese. This is committees going through
Right.
stuff, writing all this, and which likely, we have a friend who he was an intern for a senator in D.C.
Right.
Worked in the Capitol building, and when I took a tour there one time. And got to go to this senator's office, like took a tour of the Capitol building, also went to the senator's office and like met some other people there. And I didn't meet the senator or anything, but that office was filled with young people. I'm going to guess that a lot of the political legalese, the written up actual wording is done by younger people who have, fresh out of college, who are doing this grunt work before actually running for office. And so they may have a decent knowledge of, well, what do loot boxes look like? What I like about this, what's telling me that, and what I like about this this legislation is that it's not just video games are bad, let's
Right.
ban them.
Yeah.
There is somebody who's supporting this this legislation who let's see, he's from California, I forget his name, but he was the one who a couple years ago was trying to ban violent video games. and was struck down immediately because that's just like it's
Yeah.
censorship of art, like through and through.
Not to mention, there are incredible amounts of studies that show that violence in video
Yeah,
games.
right. There, but
Yes.
he was struck down from a First Amendment standpoint before any scientific study. You
Right.
don't even need that. But he's supporting that too. And what I like about this legislation is that it's broad, but it's much more specific, and it's addressing something that's actually a problem.
Yes.
I think because while yes, there's fear mongering, yes, it's not like a scourge of kids like stealing credit cards and buying 1 million loot boxes on Fortnite. That is an issue, it's mostly
yes.
and it's in a way a predatory thing done by companies to make money. I mean, Fortnite's a pretty big contributor to that problem. And so what I really like about it is that it's addressing a specific issue and not demonizing an industry or an art form because it has the potential to do something.
This is something I've appreciated a lot about the Division 2, because at least as far as the amount of time I've spent in the Division 2, I think that it has loot boxes in it, but it would not meet any of the issues that this is having. They're apparel loot boxes. And I'll say this, there's Fashion Souls, there's a Fashion Division too, and that's a big thing in Division, and I love it, and it's so much fun. And I have considered, like,
I could do one.
It's like $2 for
I could do one box.
I could, and then I'll be like, no, I'm not gonna. No, I'm
and
not
then
gonna do
3
that.
days later, your wife would be like, why is our credit card maxed out?
Look at my guy, sweetheart. Come down.
Look at him. He's got a purple hat on.
It's beautiful. Here we go again.
Not again.
And that's it. And it's all apparel, and it's just aesthetics. And
now, to be fair, this legislation would not cover that.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, apparel only doesn't matter.
And I'm okay with that, because
only.
you know what? If there's a kid out there who is dying for that new skin or whatever else, and he steals, like, that, to me, that's like rare. But if there's a kid out there who wants to win more games, and he knows that if he can get the higher, like, if he buys 10 loot boxes, there's a good chance he's going to get a rare gun or rare.
Or if I can spend this money and be better at the game, more people will want to watch my stream, which will make me more money. Which, like, it's this like thing that, okay, this would help in the long run. It's not just about this. And in reality, it's not going to. Like,
right. I think the bottom line is, when it comes to loot boxes, the people who make them know for a fact it's manipulation.
Yes.
They are keenly aware of that, which advertisements in general are manipulation. So that doesn't make them,
they're always trying to get you to do. They have an agenda.
It doesn't immediately make them evil or bad or whatever else. This one's a little bit more underhanded than normal, but from the get-go, loot boxes are manipulating you to spend money on stuff that, I mean, digital content, especially if the game decides to not exist anymore.
Yep, there it goes.
Yep, whoosh, done.
We talked
forever.
about that. Steam, if Steam ever shuts down, you get all those games are gone.
Yeah.
You do not own those games. You are essentially renting them.
Yeah.
As long as it's active.
Dissolves into nothingness.
Yes.
And so, to me, it's really, really difficult to support or get behind loot boxes in almost any sort. Again, skins, if you want you guys to look pretty, sure, whatever.
Right.
But especially the whole pay to win mindset is so underhanded to me. And it's such a pandering, begging for money. And you know who's going to fall for that? Exactly like you said, 14-year-olds who love Ninja. And you know what? They have 20, 30 viewers from the school that watch them every time. And if they were a little bit better,
they could get 50.
They get 50, they get 100.
Maybe they'll get more subs.
Yeah.
Which means they'll make more money. They'll see it as an investment.
Yeah.
Which in reality is possible. But very unlikely.
And a lot of times, even there are parents out there that, like, the kids tell them, Mom, Dad, this could make me more money or whatever else. The parents like, okay, I guess. Like, there's a lot of lack of understanding out there too.
Yeah.
And so the bottom line is that this is a direct manipulation in the same way almost. This is an extreme comparison, but I'll make the comparison anyway. When Joe Camel for Camel Cigarettes was a cartoon that was directly, like, proven to be directly marketing cigarettes to children.
Yeah.
in a similar way, this is something that should be an adult choice. How to spend
Yeah.
large chunks of money sometimes. Some of these loot boxes are $10 for the extreme best loot
Yeah,
box or
100%.
whatever.
A lot of this is mobile based too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's all trying to directly manipulate kids to
Yes.
spend this money. And it's underhanded and I don't like it.
Right. So, that's all to say is this legislation, this actual legal means to stop this, the right way to go about like putting the kibosh on this terrible business practice.
I say yes and no.
That's generally the right answer to most things.
Right.
So give me the yes first.
Yes, I think manipulating kids into spending money on your product is bad. And obviously, we already said ads do that anyway.
Sure.
But this is something in which it is established, it is well known that kids can be hiding in their room and do this. Kids can't be hiding in their room and then go buy a game from Target. You
Yeah.
know, like that's not the way this works. But kids can be in their room on their laptop or on their phone playing, maybe not even hiding in their room, sitting on the couch.
Their parents
playing
put in their
Fortnite
credit
on their
card
phone
information at one point,
at one forever ago.
and it's still in there because the parent didn't know that's how it worked. They didn't know
Right.
it got saved.
Yeah. And so now the kid's there and he just is getting these ads like all the time on his phone like, hey, you got knocked out halfway through the round. Just remember, we got these loot boxes for you.
Right.
They can help you out.
Yep.
And it's directly there. And again, we're trying to manipulate kids into making decisions that they should not be making on their own. Now, a lot of people turn to parents and say things like, well, your kid should know better, yada, yada, yada. And yes, that's true. But at the same time, it starts out with a kid thinking to himself, you know what, $5 isn't that big of a deal right now.
Yeah.
And then a week later, again, $5 isn't a big deal. You know what? Mom and dad haven't noticed yet. What about the $10 one? And the next thing you know, over the course of 3 months, it's $150
Sure.
this kid has spent. And that is an issue. And I think that there should be a legislation stopping games from an underhanded practice that are the direct goals to manipulate children.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think there's also like precedent for it in a way with like the daily fantasy sports stuff
Oh, yeah.
where it was marketed not as gambling, although it by definition is
gambling.
and it took legislation for it to be illegal.
Absolutely.
I don't know the current status of all that, but I believe in New York City it's now illegal to like it has to be fully advertised as you're putting money into something that it's very unlikely you'll actually make money back from.
Right.
But it's possible. Like it's gambling through and through. It's basically betting on a sports game. So I think there's precedent like as far as the gambling aspect, because that's also true for a lot of these loot
Right.
boxes where you'll get something. Will it be worth it? Will it be skins you already own? Very possibly. You might have just wasted your money.
Yeah.
So there's a gambling aspect even in the things that this won't cover. Like the cosmetic loot boxes that could just give you stuff you already own. And you've just spent money on nothing. Essentially spent money and lost it entirely without knowing if you would or not. And that is by definition gambling.
Quick aside here. Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest is a game that I have on my phone.
Right.
And although there are a lot of things that I disagree with, and I'm actually starting to get really frustrated with them, they just started a monthly subscription thing that is essentially a pay to win.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
And it's really frustrating. But one thing that they do is if you open a pack, if you ever get a card that you already have, you get crafting points.
Yep.
And those crafting points can be used to purchase guaranteed cards that you don't have.
Yeah, you can do something similar in Hearthstone also.
And I really appreciate that. Like this whole thing that like, all right, you know what? I never pay for packs, but I get them all the time
Sure.
via the game as rewards. And I will open, I usually wait and I open a pack my packs every other week. So I'll open 15, 20 packs at a time. And I'll get 3 cards that I already have.
Of course.
Or 3 cards that I don't already have.
Yeah.
Everything else, the other
Well, it's just how Magic is.
the other 50 cards are cards that I have.
Yeah.
Then they'd be able to go and take the 50 garbage stuff and get one card that it's a random one, but I know it's one that I don't have
it's
yet.
something.
Yeah.
You
and I
didn't
really
just
appreciate
waste
it.
your time.
Well, and it hits the collector in me as well. Like I have all of the Origins cards right now.
There you go.
From that. And so anyway,
Boom.
that's kind of a side. But so and you're talking about the gambling side of it, and I agree with that. The gambling side of, especially kids gambling,
Right.
that's a
They
big
don't
issue.
have the same concept of financial responsibility
Yeah,
at younger ages, so they don't. It's just I
not in
want
their
stuff,
brain.
so
Yeah.
here's money.
But also, I think we have precedents, like I said before, with the Joe Camel thing of taking something that is meant to be an adult decision and yet purposely advertising it toward a
Yeah.
younger audience, getting them hooked young, getting them used to it young, so that when they're whales, which is a whale is a term for
A big gambler, yeah.
a person that
It's a
is,
large aquatic animal.
yes, no, it's in mobile in the mobile gaming, it's the term for the person that will spend
Yeah, true for any gambling.
$50 a
True
week.
for Vegas too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The big
Will
gamblers
regularly spend a lot of money on yours. So
Right.
those are whales in the mobile gaming.
now they're predisposed to spending it on
Right,
the
absolutely.
thing that
They're,
was
they're
advertised.
training up these whales now as 14, 15-year-olds, younger than that, actually.
We don't
usually
condone
9, 10,
fat shaming
11-year-olds.
here on Doesn't Fox Play.
What?
I said we don't condone fat shaming here on.
If
That's-
anybody
very
should not
rude.
condone that, it's you and I.
That's true.
Yeah. But once they're going to be in their 20s and they've been doing this their entire teen life, yeah,
Yep.
you better believe they're going to pay rent and then spend all of the rest of their
Right.
money on their mobile
Or
game.
not pay rent.
Yeah, absolutely, because you've hooked them.
Yeah.
You've got them used to it, and I absolutely think, yes, that legislation is something that is, like you said, we have precedent on several fronts showing why this is a bad idea.
Yeah. As far as the no side of it goes, because we both agree, like we usually do, that there is good and bad to most things.
Right.
As far as why this isn't the way to go about it, part of me just wants to say, well, you made the wrong choice. Sucks to suck. Like, parents be better. I mean, that's a kind of a throwaway argument, but it is true. Parents just, like, you should always be involved and have an understanding of what your kids are doing. It's difficult sometimes. I understand. Especially with how, like, they have a phone. They have, like, there are ways to know, but it's difficult sometimes. I understand. But part of me just wants to say this seems the broadness of the legislation, the non-specificity of the legislation needs to be fixed, needs to be addressed.
Yes.
So no, this legislation shouldn't happen.
I agree.
It needs to be changed. It needs to be fixed. Now it's going through committees. It's going to change.
Yeah.
There will be updates, even if it does get even a chance to get voted on. That's in the far-flung future right now. So we'll continue to pay attention to what's going on with this, because this could affect even us, who are people who actively don't spend money in this way on
Right.
games. We will buy games. I'll buy DLC, but I will, as a matter of principle, not spend money on unnecessary loot boxes and
Yep.
cosmetic items. So, but if it's going to affect games that we might play, even though we are not part of the quote unquote problem, then I want that legislation to be specific enough where I'm not seeing any of the consequences. I don't want to be held accountable for something that I am not a part of. And that's my issue, is that in broad strokes, it's too general.
I say no. Number one, for everything that you just said, it's
Sure.
too general and it's too broad, and we need to be more specific with why, especially with games that advertise to kids. Like, it's other than adults only games. That's all of the games.
Yes.
All of the games, kids are. There will be people under 18
Yes.
playing it, and the people who make video games know this. You can't make a video game thinking to yourself, okay, let's make this, but let's plan on nobody under 18 playing it.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
We're going to be watching E3 here in a few weeks, and they're not, Microsoft is not going to have two separate presentations, one for our and teen games, and then one for our mature games.
Right.
They're going to advertise everything they own in the same presentation, mixing up all the different age groups. They're going to show racing games for all ages. They're going to show younger games. They're going to show super violent Gears of War. They're going to show them all. Everything's advertised to everybody.
And you know what happened if they did have one for E and T and one for M?
Nobody would watch the
year-olds would want to watch the M ones.
They would, yeah. It's akin to putting back in the 80s when they had the what was it, the Filthy 15 in music, when
Oh, right.
Tipper
Yes.
Gore, the classic videos of Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife,
Right.
talking to Dee Snider of Twisted Sister, and he came into the Senate in his full Twisted
Oh,
Sister getup.
yeah.
Great, but he's also incredibly smart, and so him debating, and it ended up in them just putting a parental guidance sticker on like lyrical content, and it just made kids want those even
More,
more.
yes, like the explicit content thing, and
Yeah.
they just they flew off the
And
shelves
Dee
after
Snider's
that.
like, thanks. Like, essentially, in retrospect, they're like, cool, just
Yeah.
sold more records.
Wow, that worked out well for
Yeah,
us. Like,
it's just like the irony of trying to, the irony of trying to legislate who should or should not be able to do something like to be able to purchase. So yeah, that's an issue. Is that you're not going to be able to advertise just to kids
right.
because advertisement it's everywhere and it's everybody.
Yeah, and if you tried to, even if you tried to say, okay, these are our ones that are only for the grown-ups, the kids are going to want that even more.
Yeah.
They're going to find even more ways to go see it.
100%.
Yeah, and it's just going
They'll
to
go to their friend's house whose parents don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. And so at that point, such a broad definition of it is just not going to work. The second reason I say no is more of a hopeful one, and I think this really plays into what we talked about last week on the unique relationship between gamers and creators. But I sure wish this is something we could handle.
You want
in-house.
to just be a homegrown issue. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
no, you know what? We're going to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sure wish there could be something that gamers would be like, you know what, man, we're not going to buy it then.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna go against your game. We're gonna get online and we're gonna protest against your game. You are clearly underhanded, and we as gamers stand against that. And we have done that a couple of times, and it's because of that loot boxes have changed as they used to be to what they are now.
Yeah.
We have already started that. We've said that we can do that. I wish that we could take care of this problem entirely on our own. We can't. And we won't.
It's unlikely to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And because as long as they're making money off of it, they'll keep doing it.
Right. So
Epic.
yeah, it's a complicated issue. Legislation seems to be the most effective way,
Right.
the most guaranteed. Hey, let's try to
Right.
fix this, because hoping that capitalistic companies are just gonna stop making money, even though they could, because of a moral reason, unfortunately doesn't really happen.
Yep.
You've got your good companies that just don't do this at all. But the major developers and publishers, this is the evolving landscape of the gaming gaming industry.
Yeah.
Games are a service now. Companies make their money off of their games as a service rather than just sales, unless you are Rockstar
Right.
or CD Projekt.
Well, even Rockstar was trying with Red Dead Online.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it's true,
And
but
they had
that was
GTA
a
Online.
It's true, but they still are one of the few companies that when they release Red Dead Redemption 2, that's the game.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption Online is in that world, but it's a completely separate thing. Same
Yeah,
with Grand
I
Theft
see what
Auto
you're saying.
Online and Grand Theft Auto 5. They are separate things. Now, obviously they're doing online thing. It's just it's the industry. A lot of us it comes down to us. We demand higher graphical fidelity and more games, because of our demands of the fans and what we want to see in them, have become more expensive to make. And therefore, the companies have to find a way to make more revenue, because we also complain if this game is more than $60, where the game should probably be 90 or 100 to be able to maintain, but we won't pay that much. And so it's like we are demanding these things and then complaining when the companies try to make the money that they need to sustain what we are demanding. And it's a vicious cycle, which is why the
Yes.
indie industry is really becoming more and more prevalent.
Yeah.
Is really great. But yeah, legislation seems to be the most effective and quickest way to do it, probably.
Right. But
Unfortunately,
legislation is probably something that's good and useful and that we should do, but being more careful about it is really important, because we don't want to limit the way that there's the way that games are made today. Exactly like you said, games as a service is just a big part of the way games are made
Right.
today. And to limit that broadly could really have an impact on a lot of companies out there that are just trying to do their
trying to
thing.
make their games.
Yeah, trying to do their thing.
So games industry, take this as a signal. This is bad. Stop.
Yes.
People, stop spending money on this, that's the quick, like that's the easiest way.
Right.
Legislation can happen, but it's going to be a problem. Yeah, it sucks.
Well, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. Let us know what you think about this legislation. There's a Kotaku article out right now.
Yep.
You can go read that. Let us know what you think about the legislation. Let us know what pros and cons you see in it. And let us know what you feel about loot boxes in general. Thank you for your support. Thank you for our patrons who help us out every month. You guys are awesome. And always remember that saved games save lives.
Bye.